Manchester United wishing they had Paul Scholes right about now. Hello and welcome to the match report, hosted, of course, by Free Midfield, Cahill Kojo. Of course, Darren will not be joining us today, but it does not matter because we have a special guest here. The only person to collect 3 points at my team's expense, of course. Yannicka, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. How are you guys?
Not too great, Yannicka, to be
No,
honest.
no.
Not too great.
Yeah.
It
Happy
was
New Year.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But let's get into the matches. We're going to do something completely different. We're going to go backwards. We're going to start with today's match. Manchester United nil at home, by the way, at Old Trafford. Wolverhampton Wanderers 1 goal from João Moutinho. Now, we're going to get your thoughts fresh off this, Kojo, because you've just watched the match.
Yeah.
You're feeling a bit under the weather.
Mm.
Manchester United keep you in the blues, even though that is Manchester City's colour. Get into it, bro. Get into it. How are you feeling right now after this funny loss to Wolverhampton Wanderers?
Listen to the bars you're dropping. 2022, Chaos become Shakespeare. Um, yeah, honestly, that was one of the worst performances you're going to see all year. And it's funny because we just started 2022. There was nothing. Man United offered zero, absolutely zero. And then when they had key moments, the decision making was horrifying. You had Sancho who had a breakaway, Greenwood played him through, he had a breakaway through the middle, and you had two options, either sort of like take on the play or had a free pass to Ronaldo on the left who, for some reason, the Wolves defenders paid no attention to. They just, completely ignored the fact that he was there or weren't aware, one of the two. And he made the wrong decision. Not only did he try and take on the players, he also shot at the defender. So that's a blocked shot. That's number one. And then Cavani received the pass from Shaw, and he's got all the space in the world. And I'm like, okay, again, if you've got two options, either pass to your right to Greenwood, who's free, or you shoot. And if you're going to shoot, with the space you have to get down on target. And he did his best Johnny Wilkinson impression. Wolves were better from start to finish. Wolves, their chances in the first half weren't very clear cut, but they were more dangerous and they were trying to create better chances. Judging by the stats at halftime, Maina had 4 shots, Wolves had 15. Yeah. On your own turf, that's embarrassing. And I think to sum up, the fact that Phil Jones, who for some weird reason I was excited to see him play. I don't know why. I think the stat that he hasn't played for 707 days is genuinely incredible. So I thought, I want to see this guy play, and he played well, and he was really good. Obviously, his header wasn't great for the goal for João Moutinho's goal, but he played well at the end of the day. And he wasn't the best of a bad bunch. He was good by himself. The rest of the United players were just poor. And to sum up our performance in a nutshell, the one time we get a clear-cut chance, Bruno Fernandes, whose bag is literally scoring goals, has pretty much a sitter. It's a sitter. He's missed a sitter. It's quite simple. He has to score that, get on target. He skied it onto the bar. And after that, we just did nothing. Rashford tried to knuckleball everything. Bruno Fernandes' pass is wayward again. Cavani was pressing grass, not players. Ronaldo was sulking when he was getting no service, which is basically Ronaldo. McTominay has been gassed off that Burnley performance. He tried to do
a decent run into the box.
He did one time. And he tried a volley, and he only kicked oxygen. Matic, Jesus Christ! Ragnick talks about control, and you start Matic. No comment there. And finally, on the fullbacks, I think Wan-Bissaka had a good first half, but then Wan-Bissaka became Wan-Bissaka in the second half. And I can't even get mad because I'm under the weather. I'm trying to just, but it's one of the ones where I'm just like, I genuinely wish I was that ill that I couldn't watch the game. It was that bad. So full credit to Wolves because they deserved it. They deserved the 1-0 win. There's no one that can argue that. No way. I shout out what's his name, Adama Traore, for having more baby oil on his arms than Randy Orton.
Fam, he came on looking ready for the Royal Rumble than a football match. Bro.
He did.
His arms were glistening. It's like, what are you doing, man? Just and his first. Let's not even talk about Adama Traore right now because let's keep the conversation on Manchester United now. Yannicka, if you look at Twitter, if you look at other group chats,
Yeah.
a lot of fans, especially Manchester United fans, are kind. I want to say, actually, no, I would say turning on Ralph Rangnick just quite a bit, even though he has only had a few games, won most of them, I might add. But is it a case that Klopp and Tuchel were selling United fans' dreams when they were bigging up the Godfather, Ralph Rangnick?
It's interesting because when they were linked with him, I wasn't particularly worried, to be honest, originally. And then everyone started talking about how he's amazing and he's done this, that, and the other. I know in terms of helping clubs to develop, I know he's done that, but I don't think Man United are a club that need developing as such. I think obviously, yeah, they need to fix up as a club, but I don't think they're not some mid-table team that need to become a good team. They're a good team that have become mid-table. It's kind of the other way around. So I think, I don't know, his job will probably be where he does well in his job will probably be when he goes upstairs, because I know Man United are run by people that are not footballing people. So at least he is a footballing person. In terms of him as a manager, I don't know. Like, a lot of people were saying, oh, he's going to press. And I think the reason why Man United fans are so annoyed is because the reasons they didn't like Ollie haven't really changed. Like, people didn't like Ollie because they didn't like the football that was being played. They didn't like the fact that smaller teams could come to Old Trafford and play him off the park. They didn't like the fact that McTominay and Fred were playing every game. So a lot of the stuff that they didn't like has kind of continued. Like, United, even though he's won 3 games, they weren't the better team against Norwich. They weren't. And they weren't the better team against Newcastle. So there's only, I think, the game against, I can't even remember the other game. Burnley. Burnley. I think Burnley were the only game that they were actually comfortably the better team. So I think it's not just a case of did we win? It's more than that, because United have been winning with Ollie. They have. They've been getting last-minute winners. They've been, undeserved results, you could call it. But, yeah, they've been doing that. So I think they expected a new manager, we're going to play better football. And so far, it's not happened. It's possible that it could. We never know. But right now, it doesn't look like much has changed. So if I was a United fan, I'd probably be quite annoyed, because the reason why Ollie left is sort of, if anything, I think Carrick was the best football we've seen when Carrick was in charge, because they actually had a good couple of games. They got some good results in that as well. So I think Carrick, out of the 2, Carrick was the one that showed the most hope going forward. But obviously, we don't know if that would have lasted. Carrick could have had 2 great games and then 3 terrible games, and, they'd be saying get a new manager. So I don't know in terms of that. In terms of the actual game, I know you've not asked me, but I'm going to talk.
Go for it.
In terms of the actual game, it's not really that surprising. Like, I actually, before the game, I made a few comments that might have been quite controversial, but it kind of came true. I actually said that it wouldn't surprise me if Phil Jones is the better defender out of the 2. Just because he's, I'm not going to make out like he's a good player or anything, but I just think Varane in the Prem hasn't been what most people expected. So, and I think even though Phil Jones has been out for a long time, he's actually Prem proven, if that makes sense. Like, he's been here for a long time. So even though he was out a long time, he's going to be a little bit rusty. It didn't surprise me that he was the better centre-back out of the 2. But yeah, I actually predicted a draw, not because I don't rate Wolves. I just thought with Wolves, they would be tight at the back. We played Wolves are a difficult team to play. I think the results that they've got are not, it's sort of undeserved a lot of the time. Like, they will play really well. They'll be the better team. And, I think the return fixture, they were the better team, and Man United just, scored a goal and it was game over. And I think they were a little bit unlucky to lose that game. Against City, we did dominate them, but they defended really well. Like, their goalkeeper has been really, really good this season. He kept City out. It wasn't anything to do with City Wolves. He was the reason we didn't score 5 or 6. He was really, really good in that game, and we had to get a penalty to beat them. Liverpool, They went there, last kick of the game, and a mistake from Wolves, basically a defensive mistake, and they won the game. So I think Wolves have been a little bit unlucky. I did tweet that Wolves are better than United, because if you watch both teams, they are the better team. And people are saying it's not true because United are ahead of them in the table. But I think results like the one against Liverpool, even the City one to an extent, because our penalty was controversial, even though there was a clear penalty turned down in the first half. They didn't give it. We have to get over it. The second half, that penalty was a little bit more questionable. So even then, they could have come away with a draw. So I think they've been a little bit unlucky. They've been a very good team. They're well organised. I thought today they played really, really well. That first half was brilliant from them. I think they need a striker or someone that can just score goals, because they've got everything but the goal scorer at the end. Adama Traore, to me, is a fake footballer. I don't like him at all. Can't stand him. He only scores against Man City, and it just winds me up. But even he was all right today. He scored something like 70% of his goals against Man City. It's crazy. But it might not be 70%, but it's definitely over 50. He has some ridiculous, it's ridiculous. But
he hasn't scored much, so that doesn't surprise me. If it is
they're all against City. That's when he turns up. But even he was okay today. He was getting wide. He was, he's quick, so he was running down the wing and causing United some problems. So, yeah, I think Wolves have been a little bit unlucky at times, and I think today, they were the better team and they got the 3 points, which they haven't been getting. So, yeah, but I don't think it's not too embarrassing to lose to Wolves. It's not as bad as it sounds, because they are a fantastic team. That's all I like to say.
It's only embarrassing when they come to your turf and absolutely dominate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the performance that was worse than the team. Yeah, definitely.
I noted that you mentioned penalties, Yannicka, about 3 times. So
don't worry, we'll get onto that.
I'll keep that in mind. We'll get onto that indeed. But no, Claudia, we'll come back to you, man. I feel like it's way too early to say where do United go from here, but we mentioned before that we went on air that he's playing a system that doesn't suit Manchester United as Manchester United plays. He's playing the 2 up top like he did at Leipzig, but with Leipzig he had a whole bunch of young players willing to fight and run. And at United, especially, and lead from the front. At United, he doesn't have that. Ronaldo isn't a spring chicken, nor is Cavani. So I don't know who's playing which role. Because with Timo Werner and Poulsen, it was obvious. Werner was the goal scorer, the goal threat, and Josef Poulsen was the guy that was going to do the hard work. Ronaldo, I've never known Ronaldo to do hard day's work in his life, apart from scoring goals. And Cavani, he's a finisher, but he's not the finisher he was 3-4 years ago. So what's going on with Rangnick there?
I think Rangnick's not giving himself the best possible chance to win. I think when he started with the team I think his first Premier League game, I believe it was Palace at Old Trafford, and we won that 1-0. We were still indecisive in the final third, but the pressing was a lot better. The control of the game was there. So he had a system that was working, and more importantly, he selected fullbacks that fit his philosophy. His philosophy is, whether it's 4-2-2 or 2 or I don't know 4-2-3-1 or whatever formation he wants to play, the fullbacks are so key in his style of football. And you have to be someone that overlaps. You have to be someone that is also willing to deliver early crosses and do it to a very successful rate. Luke Shaw doesn't do that. Telles does that more. Defensively, they're both shaky, but I don't think he worries about that when he's playing that formation. He wants 2 centre-backs that will sit, and then 1 or 2 central midfielders that will help with that defensive aspect. And then you got your 2 inverted wingers, if you must, your 2 strikers, and your fullbacks going forward. So sort of that 6 up top, 4 at the back. It compensates. Wan-Bissaka going forward. So Dalot obviously is better than him going forward. And, again, when Dalot played, Dalot outperformed him in a more going forward. Defensively, Wan-Bissaka is better, even though I still think Wan-Bissaka is very shaky defensively, but he's better than Dalot defensively. But for your system, for the sheer fact that Rangnick looks to dominate games, looks to control games, those 2 work better for the system that you want to play. He's not doing that. His selection in midfield is very, very questionable. He said he likes McTominay because of his physicality. That's fine. If you want to play him for physical reasons, that's fine. Don't put Nemanja Matic next to him, because that doesn't make sense. If you're looking to control a game, you don't have those two in the middle of the pitch. They can't control a game. And then play Greenwood and Sancho in front of them. They're not controllers of football matches. They are players that'll take you one or try and shoot. So, or try and get to the half space, if you're Sancho. So I don't feel like he's giving himself the best chance of winning these games based off his selection alone. But like I said to you before we started the show, and Yannicka wasn't here, so I'm going to say it to Yannicka as well. Man United, last season, I was asked, how many players do we need before we can challenge for the title? A lot of people on the panel were saying 3, 2. I said 9. And they looked at me, they're like, what are you talking about 9? Well, how do you need 9? I said, bro, not gonna lie to you, we need like 5 proper improvements in the first 11. And then we need 4 players on the bench that we can look at and say, if one goes out, one can come in, there's no problem.
Yeah.
Like, you need to build a squad. I feel like United fans have forgotten that. What City have done with building a squad is what Man United used to do. See, you talk about their wingers, Sterling, Bernardo, Foden can play on the wing, Mahrez. That's really 4 players. So Ferguson used to have Cole, York, Sheringham, and Solskjaer. When he won the Champions League and the Premier League with Tevez, Ronaldo, and Rooney, Man United fans were like, we don't need anyone else. He added Berbatov. Why? Because more quality. You have to keep going. So I don't understand why United fans are so afraid to make such big changes. They're necessary. Man United are very, very far away from challenging for a title. And signing Varane, Ronaldo, and Sancho, but then keeping them with Wan-Bissaka, McTominay, and Shaw, it's not going to improve the situation. So, and as far as I'm concerned, it's another top 4 race, and we still need big changes in the squad. And boy, the sooner that comes, the better.
Top 4 race, Yannicka, just to rub a bit of salt in the wound. United getting top 4?
I hope not. Is my thing echoing?
No.
All right, I can hear it echoing the line. But yeah, no, I don't think it's hard to kind of call at the moment, because I actually predicted Arsenal to get top 4 at the start of the season, and people were saying I was crazy and it wasn't going to happen. And I was saying that actually, because they have no Europe, that might benefit them in sort of February. It's not really the group stage. Doesn't really matter in the group stage. You lose a game, it's not the end of the world. Whereas when it comes to knockouts, you have to put out your strongest team against the best teams in the world. You have to. So it's one of them things where February comes round, Arsenal's got 1 game a week, everyone else has got 2. And the thing is, even if, say, for example, United have, an easier fixture, not the hardest knockout, whatever, then players can still get injured. You can still play your players and they get injured. And then Arsenal's are all fit, they're all fresh, and then they go to that game at the weekend. And I think that could benefit them in a top 4 race. So that's what I said at the start of the season. We saw it with like teams like West Ham. West Ham are doing really well in Europa League. They've got a chance of winning it, to be honest. And, their squad might not be big enough to focus on both. So they might go more towards the Europa, which I would if I was them, because it gets straight Champions League football. They don't need to finish top 4. So if I was them, I would push for the Europa League top 4 race, try and get there if you can. But if I was them as West Ham, they're better off going to Europa League final and losing than just finishing top 4 and then going out maybe in the group stage next year or whatever. So I think for them, their focus might shift, which gives an opening, less teams to kind of challenge for the top 4. So we'll have to see. I think, obviously, United, everyone was saying, had a bigger squad than Arsenal and stuff like that, which is true. But I think if you're not playing well, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's interesting because at the start of the season, I said that Man City had the best squad, because I believe we've got the best squad. And I was having Chelsea fans telling me, no, that's not the case. We've got 2 starting 11s. Our players are better than yours, blah, 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 blah. Liverpool was saying we have the best starting 11 in the league. And then we've got such and such on the bench, whatever. And actually, it's interesting because if you look at the squads, we've actually got a smaller squad than Liverpool and a smaller squad than Chelsea. We've actually only got 19 registered players. One of them is Cole Palmer, who is a child who's played very little. So it's interesting. Yeah, when you check it out, I can show you. But it's interesting. And when you actually compare the sort of starting 11s and then the second teams, Liverpool's is not as bad as you're led to believe. That's all I'm saying. It's City, I would say our midfield is clear. But in the other areas of the pitch, it's not as clear as it might appear. That's all I would say. So it's interesting. I'm not saying that our squad is not better. I think our squad is better, but it's not as clear as people make out. So, you know, it's I think there's been a few games this season where we've had 5 youth players on the bench, like 5 kids on the bench, but no one mentions it because it doesn't really matter. Pep doesn't make any subs anyway, and we end up just winning with the team that we put out. So it doesn't really matter. But it's just interesting how the sort of excuses are coming now. But I do think we have the best squad. But it's just one of them. It's also about managing them players and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot that goes into it. The top 4 race is going to be interesting. It could Chelsea and Liverpool could either or both could get dragged into that. So it should be interesting. I keep reminding people, you know, like people will say, you know, Liverpool's still in the title race. But then it's like, well, Arsenal are closer to them than they are to City. So if they're still in the title race, then they could finish below Arsenal at the same time. So I think it's going to be a good season, I think. Obviously, title race people are complaining because they're saying it's done. It's not done. It's not done yet.
Yannicka.
But
Yannicka,
no. I'm not saying like anyone else is going to win it. I do think with City, one thing that we have done so far is once we have had a lead like this, we have gone on to win the league. Pep Guardiola doesn't normally bottle it. So it would be a shock if we did. But I'm just saying in terms of mathematics and how much of the season is left, technically it isn't over. All it would take, I know for a fact, if City lose their next game, you're going to get everyone saying, we're back in it. So even though it sounds crazy, we play Chelsea next. If we lose that Chelsea game, Chelsea fans will be saying we're challenging. So we'll see what happens. But I think I would expect City to win it. I will not be happy at all if City do not win this league. Even if we go and win the Champions League, don't care. We should be winning this league. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But this top 4 race is going to be good, I think. I think it's going to be exciting.
Can I just answer the question quickly and just say, Cahill, remember on Usman's rival show when Hussam, the Liverpool fan, said that Arsenal are going to finish above Man United, and me and Usman blasted him and cussed him out. Yeah, my club has embarrassed me once again. What was I thinking? I have been embarrassed once again already. It's now December. No, I said December. It's January.
January, bro. It's January.
2022, and I'm genuinely sweating. And dare I say, Tottenham are doing their job very, very quietly. They're even keeping clean sheets.
It's very annoying, bro. It's very annoying. But anyway, before we get to Spurs, you did mention Chelsea and you did mention Liverpool. That game finished 2 goals to 2 goals from Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah, Mateo Kovacic, and Christian Pulisic. Kojo. What a bloody game that was, eh?
Bro, listen. You saw in the group chat. Yannicka, I was in the Free Midfield group chat and I was speaking in capital letters only. I had so much energy. I was sick, but my energy was coming from my phone. That is the kind of game that I live for. When it's 2 big teams, because in recent time in the Premier League, apart from that game, and I wouldn't call Spurs a big team, but North London Derby is a huge game. Those games are the most exciting. But other than that, you don't really get one. But Chelsea versus Liverpool always brings something. And this was another one. We had goals of quality. We also had catastrophic mistakes.
Quality.
Yeah, you know, obviously, Trent got lucky first when Pulisic messed up the chance that Trent essentially set up for himself.
And then I'm gonna let you finish, but this brother Trent. Trust me. Brother, I'm sorry,
they get very, very hot when we mention the name João Cancelo, but they don't want to hear it. But it's okay. And then Trevor Chalobah had his own sort of mess up as well.
Yeah, that was so bad.
He was so indecisive once he approached the ball, so you just knew it was going to be a mistake. And Sadio Mane, who a lot of people thought shouldn't have been on the pitch after 14 seconds, he tucked it away. And then you see Mo Salah, yeah. So if you look at the thumbnail for this show, I've chosen not to put him on because he'll be on too many. Because he keeps producing moments of magic, and it's genuinely ridiculous at this point. Trent's pass was brilliant. Don't get me wrong, but the touch and the dummy he sold to Alonso before the finish. Oh man, quality, absolute quality. And then Kovacic said, "Yeah, by the way, that ain't goal of the season. I'm about the strike." Oh man, Gary Neville.
Yeah, that made me feel it made me feel really uncomfortable listening to
Yeah, he was making noises throughout the whole game. It's like, all right,
He
brother,
was.
just talk, man. Just talk. I miss Andy Gray. So
the women at Sky don't.
no, that's true. That's also very true. Yes. But yeah, no. Look, the game is obviously Pulisic goal as well. Kante, shout out Kante. Beautiful pass.
Yeah.
Honestly, what a footballer. Honestly, what a footballer. The game was so good, man. It was so good to watch, and that's what you crave in the Premier League. You want to see the best teams literally giving you the best games, and that's what we got a taste of. So Chelsea and Liverpool draw another Premier League classic between the two of them, and I'm living for more of them. And it was a great game to watch.
It was a very good game to watch. Let's talk about the goals, though. I'm going to talk about Kovacic, of course, Yannicka, because that completely out of the blue. It looked like Chelsea were done in the dumps. Finished, the match was over, and then out of the blue, no pun intended, Kovacic produces one of the best of the season.
Yeah, no, that was a beautiful goal. That obviously when I did predict the 2-2 draw, actually, I thought it would be one of them games where both teams don't want to lose. They can't afford to lose, so it would be a little bit scrappy. That's what I thought. And I thought, it goes sort of 1-0, then 1-1, then 2-0, then 2-1, then 2-2, but it didn't go like that. I actually thought when Liverpool went 2-0 up, it was over. Game over. Yeah. Chelsea, you can get back into it, but I thought Liverpool would probably get a third even if they got one. But yeah, it didn't quite go like that. I think that Kovacic goal was so key at the perfect time as well. You always want a goal back before half time. Obviously, they got two, but that first goal is the key that you want going in. Because if they'd gone in 2-1 down at half time, would have been the same thing. They would have come out feeling confident for the second half. So yeah, it was a brilliant goal. I loved it. I like goals like that. Even though, obviously, I wanted to draw, but in terms of that, I can appreciate a really good goal. Salah's goal was good too, but yeah, I think that goal was brilliant. Pulisic was good there was good goals in the game. To be fair,
apart from the Mane goal, which was a mistake from Chalobah, but apart from that, every other goal.
The others.
I'm going to talk about Kante, man, because
talk about him.
He's gone under the radar in recent years, man. Obviously, we know him for his defensive prowess. In the midfield, especially in the midfield, he's very hard to get past. Once you're near him on the dribble, he's so quick and he's so nimble that he's just going to get around and get the ball. He's such a quality tackler of the ball. But recent years, especially last season, his offensive game has improved massive, and that pass completely topped it off. Because I have no idea how flexible he did a roundhouse kick, and the pass was on a plate to Pulisic, and that finish was tied as well. So it's a shame that what France did in that Euros tournament that they didn't they didn't do well that tournament, because I think if it was going to go down to it, Kante stood much a bigger chance of winning the Ballon d'Or than Jorginho ever did, because Kante was vital in that Champions League final. He's the
reason they won it. For sure.
And he's showing how vital he is to this Chelsea team, because they were recent weeks they've been a bit shaky. They haven't exactly been winning effectively and efficiently. He's come back in the team, it completely changed that midfield, and it changed for the better. You have to praise him. There was a play that we have to talk about as well, the Romelu, because it came at an inopportune time for Thomas Tuchel and his Chelsea side. Romelu Lukaku. I know your thoughts on the whole situation, Coach. So I'm going to go to Yannicka on this one. What the hell was Lukaku thinking with that interview?
I've been discussing this for the past couple of days with everyone else, mainly on Spaces. But yeah, it's just the timing of it is horrendous. I know he filmed it a few weeks ago. They might have been winning at that time, but even still, it's horrendous. With the media, they're always going to push stories out at certain times. If you ever watch the Manchester derby, the week leading up to it, half of City are unhappy, half of them want to leave. It's always the case, you know. They're going to push these stories. You know, it could be that Phil Foden said, "Oh, quite like Arsenal." Next minute, it's he said he wants to play for Arsenal. You know, in the week coming up to it. So it's just one of them things. I think the timing is terrible. Whether he knew it was coming out at that time or not, you know, it's his fault. A lot of people were saying when it first came out, "Oh, Thomas Tuchel, he knew about it. He would have known. Of course, he would have known." The the interview that he did tells us that he didn't know, and the actions that he's taken, which I'm fully behind him. I think he made the right decision to drop him. You know, it shows that he didn't know, and I think he's a little bit hurt by it, as he should be, and stuff like that. I think the worst thing for me is if Havertz came out and said that, I'd be like, okay, fair enough. You know, he wants to go back to where he came from. Not really done too well in the Prem in terms of what was expected. I would get it. But Lukaku, who is supposed to be Chelsea through and through, one of Cobham, you know, he's been there a long time. You know, I know he was from Anderlecht originally, but, you know, he's been at Cobham a long time and Chelsea a long time. So it's kind of like, for him to be making these comments, that's surprising for me. Like, even if the whole thing that he said about the system and how he's used and stuff like that, that's fair enough. I think if he said that on its own, it wouldn't have been that deep. The main part of that interview, which is where people are feeling disrespected, is the whole Inter side of it. Because one, he's saying Inter fans are better. When you're at a club, doesn't matter if your previous club has the best fans in the world. You don't say that stuff. I'm sure we've had players. Yaya Toure came from Barcelona. I'm sure at that time, Barcelona, you know, had a lot more fans. Well, they do have a lot more fans than us. He's not going to come and say to City fans, "Oh, well, the atmosphere at the new camp was better." He's not going to do that because as a professional, you don't do that. And it's just an unwritten rule. You don't do it. It's a little bit different if you're at a club that's like, maybe like you go to Stoke and you've been at Arsenal. That's a little bit different. But yeah, for him to come to the club that he claims to love, and put comments out like that. Also, the bit about Lautaro Martinez, like he's saying, "Wait for me, I'm coming back," and it's kind of like, we know with football, like it's not like one of these players like a Ryan Giggs at Man United where you knew he was going to stay at Man United till he retired. We don't know whether Lautaro is going to leave next year. So that sounds to me like he wants to go back now. It's not a case of coming back at the end of my career. If he said like, because Aguero always said, "I want to go back to Independiente at the end of my career. I want to retire there." That's why I'm so gutted for him, what's happened. Because he always said that. He said, "I might go back to Spain." So he basically said he'd reverse his career. He said, "I might go back to Spain and then go back to Independiente and retire." That's what he always said. But it was always at the end of his career. And the only reason why he left City was because City didn't offer him a new contract. So it's just one of them things. It doesn't sound, the comments that he's made, it doesn't sound like he wants to go back to Inter at the end of his career. It sounds like he wants to go back either now, at the end of the season, or next year, which when you've just spent that much on a striker, that's the last thing you want to be hearing. So it's disrespectful to the fans. It's disrespectful to the club. I can't even banter Chelsea fans on it because it's just one of them things. It's actually really disrespectful. And no one wants to, everyone that's saying, "Oh, it could never happen to my club." You don't know. It could. All it takes is one player to, you know, speak his mind. And you could be in the same situation. But I think some of the stuff that he said, like, I'd be so pissed if I was a Chelsea fan. I think what will happen is I think they'll speak to him. He'll apologise to the fans. He'll apologise to the club. And I think they'll put him back in. They might give him a little bit of drop him for a little bit, like they did with Christensen when he refused to sign a new contract. Drop him for a little bit. And then I think they'll bring him back gradually at an away game where the fans can't really get onto him. And he'll probably score. And then I think people will start saying it's okay. But it's a bit sticky.
It's a bit sticky. I mean, there's a whole bunch of noise coming out of both camps. So with Chelsea and Tuchel, it seems like what I'm hearing is that obviously they're unhappy with the way he conducted the interview, but they're also saying that a lot of the context was missing from what he was actually saying, because I think because Lukaku speaks 5 languages, so I think he done the interview in Italian. So I think it comes out today on Sky Italia or something like that. So once we see that interview, we'll see what.
Sorry, bro. No, bro.
No. Let me land.
Go on.
So maybe there on that regard, it might come out not favorably, but a bit less sticky. But on the other hand, some of the quotes I'm hearing from Inter, not just fans, but Inter legends as well. Like I think it was Barzagli that said, was it Barzagli? One of them said, we got Dzeko from Roma on a free, and it's not much difference. And once you hear that from a legend, it's a wrap. And the fans are saying, I think the fans had a banner saying like, you don't leave during the hard time. So he's not welcomed back by the fans. He's not welcomed back by the former players. I imagine he's not welcomed back because I think his affinity is with Kante rather than Inter, and not Inter Milan itself, because I don't think they like him that much. So he's caught himself in between a rock and a hard place. I don't see where it goes from here.
No.
If I'm a Chelsea fan and he doesn't perform, and he's not been performing, if he was performing well, they're not fair play, but there's a bit of leeway. He's been shocking, especially for the price that he has. So he's completely messed up here, and shame on him, to be honest, because he's done it to himself. He didn't need to do that interview, and well, he's fucked up.
That's the sort of interview you do when you join, like when you're about to leave. So you might say like, Inter, you're the best fans in the world, blah 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 blah. Once you join your new club, it's a new slate. This is my team. Chelsea have the best fans in the world. Like, we hear footballers lie all the time, you know. It's my dream to play for Man United. You're like 20 years old. How is your dream to play for Man United? Like, they've been shit most of your football watching life.
Yikes.
So it's true though.
She said it for you, bro.
That was unprovoked. Wait, hold on. Man United fans. Wait, what? It's bad man. I want to play for Man United still. I like that, man. Well,
it's true that people say it. People used to say it all the time with City, and everyone used to say they're lying. But when it's United, it's like, they must.
Yeah, because we had heritage. You were just
whatever.
Into the game. Don't do that. Wait, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
You know what though? It's funny because Gio Reyna from Dortmund. Yeah, he like grew up a Man City fan. But it's interesting because you see these sort of young players and. You don't, when you think about like how long Aguero was, like they were probably 10 watching that. So it's not like these players that are young, like Phil Foden was a ball boy and he was sat behind the goal when Aguero scored that goal. He was a child.
Oh, wow, really?
So he is a City fan, but he was literally in the crowd as a fan. You know, so it's crazy. Like when I think, like when I was a kid, it was United, Arsenal a little bit, but United.
I mean a little bit.
What you doing? You got a little bit.
I mean in terms of like titles and stuff, it was kind of like Arsenal, United, Arsenal, United. Like it was just like that the whole time. But these,
you haven't got that many more titles in us. Thank you very much.
But a lot of these players, though, they've grown up watching different stuff from what we did. So a lot of people are saying that how are they a City fan? How is Haaland a City fan? Well, mainly because his dad played there. And secondly, because we've been decent most of his life. So it's just one of them things. It's interesting when you think about it like that. Or half of his life, I should say.
I mean, apart from Yannicka sending for both of our teams, what are you going to say? What is you going to say about Lukaku, Kojo?
So the statements is what I was going to laugh about, because Chelsea fans, a group of Chelsea fans started to run to his defense and say these are the real quotes. And then I put those quotes up and I put up what Fabrizio Romano said, because that's where the anger was getting directed at. And I was like, you're changing it to nicer words. It's still the same message. He wants to go back to Inter Milan. There's nothing different here. It's just kind of words that you're putting into there. But the message is, I came here. Essentially, I thought I was going to be the main man. I got injured. I wasn't thrusted straight back into the team as the main man because they found a way to score more goals when you weren't there. They were pressing better when you weren't there. And in the big games, when you've played, you have not performed. A lot of Chelsea fans get on to Kai Havertz. Last time when they went to Anfield, it was 1-1. Who scored the goal there? Kai Havertz, who did nothing. Lukaku, again, a big game, nothing. You've come, and quite frankly, you've now come and said, look, one day I will return to Inter Milan. Lautaro Martinez should wait for me because I will be back. You're 28 years old.
Yeah.
And you're in that statement, you also said, when I am still good enough to help the team win things. So you're in your prime right now, and prime years are spoken about being 27 to 32. You're 28 now. So how long are you willing to stay at Chelsea before you try and run back into Milan? That's the first question. You're supposed to be your £100 million striker. You're supposed to be the main man. You have not performed like the main man. You have not shown yourself to be the main man. You have not scored goals like a main man. So you don't have the leverage of a main man to come and talk this crowd on TV. Whether it's nice words or bad words, at the end of the day, the message is you want to run back to Inter Milan when you got powers. Essentially next year or in 2 years' time. That's what you're telling the fans. And they're not going to have that. No one's going to have that. So for Tuchel to drop him, and bear in mind, may I say, against Liverpool, see how much better the press was against Liverpool also. He wasn't missed. He was not missed. So the shame for Chelsea is if you spend £100 million on a player and you lose him immediately for what will definitely be a loss, it looks embarrassing on the club. Yeah. But what they're going to probably do is make him grovel, make him apologize, come back, and then maybe try and sell him off in 2 years. But I don't think he'll beat it into Milan. I think they'll want to do him dirty enough that he goes somewhere else.
No, but, you know what? How I would do if I was Abramovich, I would sell him back to Inter, but then I'd buy Lautaro Martinez just to spite him. Just to spite him. That's because
they're not winning that league title without the both of them. It wasn't just a Lukaku job; it was the both of them up top. And he misses that partner. But look, I think Chelsea and Tuchel have done the right thing. I think if Tuchel continues to play without him starting games, Lukaku won't be decisively missed. And honestly, I've said it before, I'll say it again. He's not a big game player. He's not cut out for the Premier League as a big game winning player. So if he's not the man, as far as I'm concerned, let him go. He won't be missed.
In other games, West Ham got a 3-2 victory against Crystal Palace.
Oh, yes.
I thought I mentioned it just for you.
Thank you.
And Tottenham got a last-minute winner from a header from Davinson Sanchez. Broke my heart, that one.
Shocking defending, by the way.
Then again, it couldn't have happened to a nicer club. F Watford. I hope they go down. I hope they go down. I hope they go. Honestly,
where does this come from?
The fact that they refused to allow their players to go.
Oh yeah, Menno Dennis. Of course, yes, of course.
I hope they get rid of him.
Apparently, Baz injured. That's why.
He's not injured. Bullshit. He's not injured.
Is he not? Okay.
He's not. They said he's not going. It's bullshit, man. It is bullshit, man. Utter nonsense. I honestly hope they go down. That's 3 teams I want to go down. I want Burnley to go down. I want Newcastle to go down, and now I want Watford to go down. Well done, guys. Well done.
Do you know what? Anyway. Some like African Cup of Nations, like, because I was having a debate about this, and a lot of people are saying, yeah, but it's dangerous. Yeah, but it's this. It's like, at the end of the day, you bought an African player, so they go to the African Cup of Nations. Mahrez is our top scorer. I know we've got a bigger squad. Well, not even a bigger squad, because everyone has a 25-man team or whatever, right? But we have a better quality squad than other people. However, Mahrez is still our top scorer. He's still our top contributor in terms of goals and assists. And it's like, he's going to African Cup of Nations because he's African. And to be honest, his loyalty, people are talking about who pays their wages. His loyalty should lie with his home country. And the reason why it should lie with them is because if City decide he's not good enough, he's gone. Whereas Algeria are never going to decide he's not good enough and just say, oh, you're not playing for us anymore, even if he was poor. So his loyalty should lie with his national team. Absolutely. You know, if it's friendlies, I get that. I don't see the point of friendlies personally. I don't think if you're paying a wage and they're going injured or slightly injured, they got a knock and they're playing in a friendly, I don't agree with that because I think it's not necessary. You know, if they're not quite fit, like we've seen it with De Bruyne getting overplayed for Belgium in games that are unnecessary. But in general, like, if you've got an African player, this is an African Cup of Nations. Most of these African teams are not going to win the World Cup. The World Cup is won by the same 4 or 5 teams. So they're not going to win the World Cup. So this is their only opportunity for a trophy. a lot of the time. So why would they not go there? It just, to me, people talk about it being mid-season. It's always been that way. You knew that when you went for an African player. If it's a player who's young and then he decides to join an African team, that's a little bit different. Maybe you didn't know. But if they're Nigerian and they're not good enough for England, they're obviously going to pick Nigeria. So you know this when you sign them. And to me, I have no sympathy. Like, at the end of the day, we're losing our top goal scorer, but I want him to go on and win the African Cup of Nations. Because if anything, if he wins that and he comes back, he's going to be in the form of his life just in time for the Champions League. So I'm all happy with that. But, it's just one of them things. I don't agree with it. If you buy an African player, deal with what African players have to do, which is African Cup of Nations. So is what it is.
Simple as that. Speaking of Mahrez, let's go to Manchester City, 2 Arsenal, 1.
Oh,
I'm going to start this one off
Go for it.
by saying it's a weird feeling, a feeling that I haven't felt in at least 5, maybe 6, 7 years. Pleased with the performance, disappointed with the result. Not felt that in a while. And it's quite nice, to be honest with you. But the thing about the result was I'm not disappointed that we lost, because I honestly thought that Manchester City going into this, they were obviously the informed team. They're clear they're going to win the league title. Even if you want to sit on the fence there, Yannicka, you're going to win the league title. It's end of it, end discussion. And I thought we were gonna lose, but I thought we were gonna play well. And we did play well. But it's not the fact that we didn't play, that we played well and you won because you played better. It's the fact that we gave you that victory. That's the thing that hurts me the most about this, is that you were completely out of it for 60 minutes of this game. And that, for me, as an Arsenal fan, especially the recent years under Emery, under the last Arsene Wenger, to go up against one of the best teams in the world, and the best team in England, let's not front about it, and to play them off the park up into a moment of pure fucking idiocy from a certain Swiss man. It is what it is, man. But here, let's get into it. So the goals obviously were from Saka and Riyad Mahrez got the penalty, and last minute winner from Rodri, who some might say over celebrated, but then again, I think he was getting a lot of stick from the Arsenal fans. And when he decided to take, if you're gonna give it out, be prepared to take it, bruv. Don't throw bottles at people. Don't throw anything at people. When they're celebrating a goal, it's a 90. What minute did that come in?
93.
93rd minute winner. You think a man isn't gonna go nuts? Come on now, it's ridiculous. But anyway, Arsenal take the lead. And we absolutely battered you, Yannicka. I can't believe I'm saying that. I think we absolutely handled you. There was times when I was thinking this can't be the same Arsenal team that lost to Manchester. And it is. It's the same team, but just weeks passed, and we outran you, outpressed you. The fact that I think you had only 2 shots on target, and that they were obviously the penalty and the last minute goal, shows how structured this team was defensively. I mean, I think Ben White had a fantastic game. Against Manchester City. The man that was struggling against Brentford had had an amazing game against the best attack in the league. And Partey, where the fuck was that for the past 2 years, brother?
Hey, listen, that's my Ghanaian brother, bro. When you eat the right type of yam, it comes through. Tell you, yam, shit, chicken stew, he was there.
He was there, bro. Because that was an amazing performance from Thomas Partey. And it's a shame now that he's going off to the African Cup Bloody Nations. After that performance. Bloody hell.
Form for the African Cup of Nations.
Exactly. That's good. Yeah. But I want to see. There was obviously moments in that game where we should have taken a lead. I think Gabriel had 3 good opportunities. I think the first 2 were created from himself. I think Cancelo might have nightmares for what Martinelli did to him, because he was absolutely fantastic. And then obviously he gets to that chance where it's an open goal and he should be putting it away. If I'm going to be shameless, referee ran in his way, but I'm not going to be shameless. I think he should be putting that away regardless, but it is what it is. And then the referee, man, I don't know what to say about the referee. I think the referee had a Jekyll and Hyde. Well, no, it wasn't Jekyll and Hyde. He was just it was horrible. He was awful that entire match. I mean, Manchester City, you guys got away with murder. You with your professional or tactical fouls. I think it was
You're good at that shit,
Yeah, you're very good at that shit.
You need to teach your players how to do it.
Oh, okay. Let's get on our level. All right, fair enough. But yeah, I think he was overzealous with the cards to Arsenal, especially with the penalty. Not with the penalty, sorry. The Gabriel, the first yellow, because I thought he was given the yellow card for scuffing the penalty spot, but he wasn't. He was given the card for apparently Gabriel ran into him. But if you look at the video, like 6 or 7 Manchester City man just all run up on him and push him into Stuart Atwell, and then he books him for it. It makes no sense, but it is what it is. And then obviously I think once you're booked and you even if it is a few minutes after, once you make that tackle, which he did on, I think it was Bernardo Silva, it's a double yellow, it's a red card. So
Gabby, I think.
that is what it is. But then he booked Saka for asking why why he gave his friend the yellow card.
What baffled me about that is when Saka scored, he went into the fans. That's a yellow card. Where were you? Where was his decision making throughout this whole process?
It's crazy because Gabriel scuffed the penalty spot. But he didn't get a yellow card for that. He got a yellow card for getting pushed into him. And Ramsdale scuffed the penalty spot, and he didn't get a yellow card for that. So I don't know where these yellow cards were coming from. He had an atrocious game. I'm not going to go as far as to say that the referee gave Manchester City the win. They didn't. I think we gave Manchester City the win with the foolish decisions from a certain Swiss man and Gabriel getting sent off. Well, after that 60th minute, that's when you take over. And Yannicka, I'm gonna let you take over from here because I've been speaking a bit too much. But to round it up, proud, very disappointed.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't see the first half. I've still not seen the first half, to be honest. Watching it.
We absolutely battered you, Yannicka. Don't worry about it.
I know. I hear. I believe it. Don't worry. I do believe you. Do you know what? City, from what I saw, we didn't look great. I woke up when it was 1-1, so I kind of missed most of the drama. And Gabriel wasn't on the pitch when I woke up, so I kind of saw the good bit of the game from a City perspective. We were okay after that. Not great, but okay. That's where I think we had most of our chances and stuff like that. But yeah, in terms of the game, I think a lot of City fans, because I actually said the other day about Brentford, and I said, is anyone worried about Brentford? And a lot of City fans, in my replies, were saying, a lot of them were saying yeah, some of them were saying no, but I am worried about Arsenal. It was split between worried about Brentford and people saying no, but I am really worried about Arsenal because of the form that they're in. And you are in great form. And I think if you play like that for the rest of the season, you will definitely get top 4 without question. So hopefully you keep it up because I don't mind Arsenal. But yeah, it's just one of them things. I think City are a bit weird this season because for years, City have been very predictable. Even when we've been winning, we've been predictable. We've been that sort of team where we'll go out, play the other team off the park, and then we'll either win or we'll lose, just regardless of what happens. And, if we went into a game against Arsenal and we played like that, we would definitely lose. We wouldn't win them sort of games. So the fact that we can go 1-0 down and come back and win it, I hadn't seen that from City until, not often until this team, because against Liverpool as well, I thought at Anfield, I think it went 1-1 and then I think 2-1 to them. And I thought when they scored the second, I thought that's it, we've lost. And we actually came back in that as well. So I've seen a little bit more fight from City this season than I've seen, because a lot of the time in that sort of game, like the Arsenal one, they would have had their heads down a little bit. Yeah, okay, they had 10 men, but City against 10 men don't usually do too well, to be honest. It kind of goes the other way. We play worse when we go down, when the opposition go down to 10. It's really strange, but it's just how it works for some weird reason. But yeah, so I think from a City perspective, did we deserve to win? That's the question. I'd say Arsenal were definitely the better team. I think Arsenal gave us the result. I agree with you. I think a lot of people are focusing on the referee. Ian Wright, I think, and everyone on Match of the Day, they were kind of saying the reason why it wasn't given is the first one. I hate this clear and obvious thing because I think a lot of them are quite clear and they just ignore them anyway. But do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's all the clear and obvious crap that they come out with. I think from the slow view preview, it's like Odegaard stands on Edison's foot. That might have been what they saw, right? That might have been what they saw. It is one of them where it is kind of like 50-50. So I've seen them given and I've seen them not given. So it's one of them where it's, even though as the fan that it happens to, it's always Stonewall, and the opposition fans are always like, well, it's 50-50. That's what happens. Like, it's just general. Yeah. Me personally, the refereeing in this country is a disgrace. I don't like VAR, not because I don't like the technology. I just know that the people running it are these people. So it doesn't make sense. People are saying, oh, but VAR is not a problem. Well, yeah, VAR is not a problem, but they're not going to change the people in control. So we're stuck with this version of VAR, which I don't like. Apparently, I don't know. I haven't seen the first half, but apparently there was a shout for a penalty on Gabby. I don't know what it looked like. I didn't see it. I don't know. City fans tell me that there was he got dragged down or something. I don't know. I'm not saying it is a pen.
Had him run his.
I don't know. I'm not saying it's a pen because I haven't seen it. But there's things like that, and it's just like they're inconsistent. These refs. Yeah. 1 minute they're booking you for something, and the other team do it, and they don't get booked. And you know, there's a penalty shout, and they ignore it, and then there's another penalty, and they give it, and it's just this is the Premier League refereeing. I don't think it's anything personal to Arsenal. I know Arsenal have had some harsher decisions than other teams, especially I think it was the Palace game where you got kicked down and just nothing. And
Palace, Everton, City.
Yeah, there's been some crazy games. So I'm definitely not defending the ref. I don't rate any refs in this league. I think they're all shit. They were all trying to make a name for themselves. You should come out of the game saying, who ref that game? Oh yeah, it was him. It shouldn't be a case of, I know that was Atwell. I shouldn't know who it was. I shouldn't. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not defending the rest. I think City weren't at our best. I think they're absolutely fucking knackered. I'm not making excuses for them, but I think they're knackered. This month is great. We've got 4 games. The first time in January in about 6 years that we've not had this amount of games. It might even be more than that, because I think the season that we didn't win the Carabao Cup over 5 years ago, I think we got knocked out in the semis. So I think we still played these games in January. So it's been a while since we've had this small amount of fixtures. So hopefully they get some rest and they get the form back, because we weren't the best against Brentford either, but we got the win. But yeah, I think in terms of Arsenal now, Arsenal, when that decision was made to ignore that penalty, basically, when that was made, Arsenal were 1-0 up. So it's kind of like, even though you can, in hindsight, you would look at that and think if it was given, it'd be 2-0, blah, blah, blah. But at that point of time, you were still outplaying us, and you were still the better team, and you were still 1-0 up. So I think in terms of that, what probably lost you the game, or what actually lost you the game, is probably the penalty, putting his foot in and then pulling him. If he doesn't drag the shirt, he doesn't give it. If he doesn't put his foot out, he doesn't give it. So it's the combination of two that got that penalty, which is stupid. But even then, what I would argue is at 1-1, you're still in the game. You were still the better team. You were still playing better. So it probably, the sending off, I know he's young, relatively young, and I think it's just one of them things. I think that didn't help your situation. I think them sort of decisions, yes, the first booking was very questionable. However, when you get booked, you're on a yellow. So a lot of people were saying Rodri should have been booked. The thing is, if Rodri was booked in the sort of 40th minute, he wouldn't take his shirt off when he scored. Like, there's things that you do once you know you're on a booking. I've seen it before. I've seen Ruben Diaz be on a booking and he's just basically let the attacker run around him, and people say, oh, he's shit. He didn't try and tackle. No, he's making that decision because he knows that if he goes in for that tackle and he doesn't get the ball, he's off. So I think he's young, he's new to the league, so he will learn from that. But I think decisions like that, because we were there for the taking. you're probably not going to play City where we play like that again. Martinelli should score that goal regardless of where the ref is. He gets round him and he's got an opportunity to shoot. And I think it's a little bit. I think Arsenal kind of threw it more than the ref, because the ref's decision can be argued either way. Not the cards, he's card happy, but like the decisions can be ruled, either way in terms of that. But I think Arsenal had a real opportunity and should have won that game with the chances you had. You should have won that game. So because we had 2 shots on target, I think, and we scored 2 goals. So I don't know if a penalty is included.
I think so.
Included, so that was the only shots we had. So in terms of Arsenal, if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be happy with how you played because you were really good. But I think at the same time, some players in your squad kind of threw the game for you. So I think it's just one of them. Probably if you play like that again, you'll beat 9 out of 10 teams. That's all I'm saying.
I think that too. There's a certain Swiss man that we need to evict from the squad. But it is what it is. Coach, what was your thoughts on the game?
I agree. Arsenal dominated the game. I think when they equalised with the penalty, I think it was immediately after where they almost scored an own goal, and then Martinelli, I think the side of the post or something like that when he missed that chance. I think he tried to be very emphatic with the finish, and I think he just needs to compose himself a little bit more and just try and guide it into the back of the net. But no, it's promising for Arsenal. A lot of people are mocking Arsenal for the fact that they were satisfied, and I don't think, but they had the wrong idea. Wasn't Arsenal fans weren't satisfied that they lost. You can never be happy with a loss. They're satisfied with the level of performance that they saw against a side that has bullied them in recent years, quite frankly. And it means that, what the difference is. In the past, Arsenal have gotten to a run of form many times and looks good. And then when they faced a better or bigger team in terms of stature, they've sort of gone back into their shell and they've just been dealt with quite comfortably. In this game, they came in good form, and you can argue that they'll continue in good form because they played a good game. They just came away, unfortunately, defeated. I think for City, what Yannicka was saying earlier about the winning the game but not playing well, that's a quality that's so big in winning titles, because that's what we used to do. Man United under Ferguson was not the best all the time. We had some stinkers of performances, and we come away with a 1-0 win, whether it was luck or wherever it was refereeing decisions. We came away with a W. And for City, it's the same thing. You're gonna need to get your luck somewhere. If you have a poor game, but you somehow come away with 3 points, as far as you're concerned, you've won the game. So you run away from that, you go forward, because you're not going to play poor every game. Knowing City, the next league game, they're probably going to smack their next opponent. So, I think both sides can come out with heads held high. And on refereeing quickly, so Arsenal fans were particularly upset with Stuart Atwell, because I think for a lot of games, and suddenly his history is being brought up about the fact that he was suspended for like 4 years for the Premier League or something like that. And
4 years?
Apparently so, yeah. And he was the referee for the Ghost goal back in 2010.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all the history, the football heritage, like a guy that made silly tweets and then getting pulled up. That was his refereeing history, getting pulled up in one goal after that performance. But I understand the frustration. I don't think there's an agenda against Arsenal per se, but it's also very fair to say that Arsenal have had some horrific referee decisions against them in recent time, without a shadow of a doubt. So I understand the frustration, but they shouldn't be upset. And I genuinely think the top 4 race is between the London clubs, between those two, being North London, Arsenal, Tottenham, and West Ham. So if Arsenal maintain their form, absolutely. But Spurs are also in great form as well. They're winning games quietly. They're keeping clean sheets, so they're getting results. West Ham will continue to drop points here and there, but then they'll come and get great results out of nowhere as well. So it's interesting. It keeps it exciting. But yeah, it was a great game. And I think what's important now is for Arteta to try and see if Arsenal can maintain the momentum. The one thing you don't want to do is now go back, because there's another stage. Arsenal used to have like a good run up to like February and then just falter. You don't want to bring that back also. You want to get into February and still be there come April, come May. You want to look at that and be like, yeah, we're still about. So yeah, positive signs, man. Positive signs. And shout out Partey for one hell of a performance as well.
Exactly. Just on that though, in recent years, especially under Arteta, it's it's the form table. That's what comes into question every year. Is because usually we're so poor at the very start of the season, and then by January, that's when we start picking up points. That's when we start going on amazing runs. And I think last season and the season before that, I think the only team that was better on us in terms of the form table was Manchester City. So that's why I'm excited about what the possibilities of this season, because we finally put ourselves in a position where we can go on to challenge for the top four and get European football and get Champions League football once again. So this year is going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to the running. Not said that for a while, but it is what it is.
It's been a while. Yeah.
It's been a while. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. However you decide to eat or digest our content, we appreciate you very, very much. But of course, Yannicka, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me at City on Twitter. I don't really do YouTube anymore. I don't really do too many shows, but yeah, just find me on Twitter and you'll see where I am.
We appreciate you joining us nevertheless. Kojo, where can they find us?
One more time, happy New Year to everybody that's listening. Free Midfield Podcast on YouTube, of course. Free Midfield on Twitter, Spotify, and all the other audio places, Instagram, TikTok, and also Twitch. On Twitch, we stream now on Twitch as well for the podcast, and I will try and get some Football Manager streams getting going as well. So I feel like showing my Man United one because for some reason I'm in my second year and I've got Ronaldo, Dybala, Mbappe, Rashford, and Messi's now coming as well. So life is good. In my dream world at Old Trafford, life is good.
There we go.
In reality,
different story.
Different story.
Thank you guys for watching another episode of the Match Report. Good night.